there's a voice that keeps on calling me.
Andrew, I have no idea if this is going to make us shut up our streams. But tell me, it doesn't make you feel so Canadian right now. How you doing, brother?
That is some history, Drew. You bring us the history.
I'll tell you, my friend, next time it's going to be the Log Driver's Waltz.
I think you need to give our audience and me an introduction to that music.
Are you kidding me? You're well aware what the Log Driver's Waltz is, right? You're just playing along for the viewers?
I seriously don't. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. Well, this is the thing. I'm not going to waste any time on it. I want us to keep it tight today, but I'm going to tell you, you and I are going next week. Do not let me forget that the Log Driver's Waltz is going to be making an appearance here. I don't know if anyone's watching, but in the comments, I hope you'll let Andrew know how much he is missing of the Canadiana of the Log Driver's Waltz. Like the Blue Jays, my friend.
It's been a good week of baseball, Drew.
I'm not going to lie, my friend. I'm really not. I'll throw us right into the recap, and then why don't we dive into what we loved about the Jays this week?
I think we should.
All right, brothers and sisters out there. What happened since the last time we talked about the Jays? You know what? After a blip last week where we had to do our first ever week where they were below 500, the Jays have gone 4-3 since we chatted with everybody last. It's pretty simple. 3-game sweep, 3-game sweep of the Braves, and a 1-3 trip for the Yankees here to the Rogers Center. The Jays are 4-3. I want to be fair, though, my friend. The Jays did not lose to the Yankees. They lost to Aaron Judge, who hit 4 home runs, had a 600 on-base percentage, and pretty much was either scored or drove in 11 of their 17 runs. So we got beat by Aaron Judge, and I don't think there's any shame in that.
The Blue Jays played impeccable baseball last weekend. I believe I told you on this very show, Drew, that I thought they were going to get absolutely decimated by Spencer Strider, the man who carries one of the finest mustaches I've ever seen, and the man who Buck Martinez so eloquently pointed out has thunder thighs, I think he said, or something like that.
I'm not going to lie to you, man. I was a little bit thrown off by how much Buck was really into Spencer Strider's quads. Right down to, hold on, I actually wrote down, he's a bike racer, a downhill skier with tremendous speed. I'm not exactly sure how your speed is related to your quad size there. And then he actually says speed skater Eric Heiden. And you could even hear... like, oh my God, who was he with that night? You could even hear Shulman just sort of be like, speed skater. So honestly,
okay,
man, you did say, you said that Strider was going to beat us and then the Jays were going to win every other game, which I appreciated from you. We didn't quite hit it, but hey.
Well, listen, I'd like to be wrong in this case, and I was. The Jays made quite tidy work of the Braves. Then New York came to town, and you're not going to win every game, Drew. I don't think the Drew Jays talk has misled anyone. We're not going to win every game.
Well, I think, isn't our goal to try to help people enjoy the game, even if they hate a particular game? I think that's the way I've been looking at it, is how do we help people find cool things? How do we find cool things in the game in general? Well, we might be really hating any individual particular game. Like, for instance, when 20 people get left on base. Drew Jays Talk isn't going to lie to you that I'm sure that one or both of us have bruises on our forehead from that particular endeavor. But I look at it this way. Friendships are probably forged on the base pass. Who knows how many new friendships were forged between Toronto Blue Jays players and the opposing team as a result of them spending that much time hanging out with each other.
It's not about the wins and losses, Drew. It's about friendship.
Honestly, man, with all due respect, I pay a lot of money for those tickets. I would like it to be a little bit about win. Maybe not for us as fans. We can go enjoy baseball, but the guys that are out on the field, I'd like it to be a little bit about wins and losses. Brother, let's get to it. What'd you love
Okay.
this week? What do you want to talk about this week?
Well, look, I love that, and I think we've said this before, but I love that this is feeling in May like October baseball. As an entertainment product, which is what we are asking for from our team, I think they did a good job. There was never an at bat where I didn't feel we were competitive, and I just liked, I liked. I mean, you've got to give a hat tip to the Yankees. They came in and won. I'd like to look into their victory, and I got some sticky stuff on my hands because I haven't washed my hands since lunch. But I'm not saying Drew. I'm not saying anything about the Yankees. I am just telling you that it's been a tough week against the Yankees.
I think it's like, hey, honestly, man, if we were doing something that you could spot by doing that just before you have to lock back on and hit a 90-something mile per hour fastball, like, with all due respect, everybody, and we know this is a Blue Jays fan podcast, but look,
Yes.
If you could do a quick glance and pick up whatever you need to pick up so that you can hit a baseball 450 feet, more power to you, my friend. Like,
God bless.
I was going to put this down. Like, you hate it in the moment, but I'm glad that one day I'm going to be able to talk about how I watched Aaron Judge blast baseballs all around the Rogers Center. Like, that's a cool experience to have. And It's that feeling, like, even when you're at the game, you can sort of feel people, like when David Ortiz used to hit one, I always used to kind of think, I just got to watch something pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Well, and this is how I see it. Last season, or was it 2 seasons ago? I can't remember, but when the lineup card was dropped, and our then opponent Kevin Kiermaier picked it up. Here's what I think he was really doing, Drew. I don't think he was cheating. I think he just wanted to get to know his fellow teammates. He just wanted to see, what kind of hitters they are, and where do I slot myself in? So maybe this is what Aaron Judge is doing. I know he signed a long deal in New York, but maybe he just wanted to take a look at the venue. Maybe he wanted to see the new sight lines.
And let's look at it this way. Those two guys you just mentioned, Judge and Kiermaier, signed very different contracts in the offseason. But I'm not entirely sure through May, as good as Aaron Judge was, that Kiermaier didn't have better numbers. I actually have it written down here. I'll go back and look at it. But he's hitting over 400. He's got an OPS of like 1,300 or something. And he leads the majors in defensive runs saved. So, I mean, there's something.
He said he wanted to be. Yeah, he said he wanted to be the best number 9 hitter in the league. And I think he's ticking that box, Drew.
He's appreciating center fielders. We should appreciate Bader too. Let's just give a quick little. It seemed like every line drive the Jays hit this week, like little tip of the cap, because that dude was vacuuming him up. You know what? I want to just give a little. Here's what I want to talk about. The whole point of us doing this, I know, is like to try to increase appreciation, and I'm trying to do it for me too. And one of the ways I'm going to try to do that is when I'm watching the Jays broadcasts or listening to them, and somebody says something that seems to be making a big deal. I'm going to actually ask why. So a big deal this week on Bo Bichette and the fact that he leads the league in opposite field hits. And look, I think it's intrinsically we get it. Oh, opposite field hitting is a good way to hit. What I wanted to actually look into was the why, though. So if anybody's watching and they're thinking, oh, like, why are we making a big deal of this? So I actually looked into it. So I did a bit of a deep dive, to quote the wonderful Office Ladies podcast, is that primary pull hitters have a 254 average overall. This is for the last full season where data is available. And opposite field hitters who primarily hit up the middle or opposite field, 324 is where they run. From 2000 to 2009, Baseball Prospectus found that... I'm getting a little echo here suddenly.
Oh, sorry, my fault.
Yeah. All of a sudden says they 18% more RBIs driven in by people who go up the middle opposite field compared to straight up pull hitters. And basically, Fangraphs also said they've got a larger hitting zone because now you can take that outside pitch and take it the opposite way. So I actually was like, why does it matter? And one, you look at MLB Network and you've got the analyst saying, because you can take the pitch the opposite way, it's hard to get into a slump because you don't have to worry about hitting the ball square. You can just put the bat on it and it's going to head out there. But that's something I just wanted to share with anybody here is that there's actually real data that says hitting the ball the opposite way. You drive in more runs, you have a higher batting average, and you just have more pitches that you can handle. And when you got Garrett Cole hammering inside the plate, it's a valuable thing, man.
I agree with you. And dare I say, it's just a good skill to have, period. Slump or no slump. The fact of the matter is if you can hit the ball to more places than you used to be able to hit it to, that seems like something worth honing and improving. and Bo's doing a great job, like you said.
It also used to mess the shift big time. Like people used to, we all know this too, but people who tried to hit into the shift, 206 was their batting average. I knew it was bad. It's 340 when people took it the opposite way. So wow. And I've discovered this. What Bo Bichette has made me appreciate is those big, monstrous looping shots that Batista and Donaldson used to hit, and even Vladdy does, right? But that fastball inside where he whips his hands out and pops it the other way down, that's my new favorite hit. And I have him 100% for that. What else you got that you love this week, brother?
Well, I got to say, Brandon Belt is starting to show us why we brought him to town. Little things. And speaking of the shift, we don't have the shift anymore. But Brandon Belt bunting for a hit. Brandon just being a baseball player. I think he did have an adjustment period joining the Jays roster. I think he had, he missed a lot of spring training, but he's a veteran player. He knows what he needs to do to get ready. Brandon Belt has had a really nice week, and I just like seeing him have success.
Me too, actually, because I just think he's the type of player that championship teams have. And I mean, that's the problem now. We just sound like guys off of talk radio, I know, to some degree, but like there's a value to that. And I also think that you're straight up, man. He hit 353 this past week and really looks to be hitting the ball. And here's the piece that I really like, and I might have mentioned this last week. Him and Alejandro Kirk, even though Kirky's really struggling, Kirky's not swinging and missing, which means, once again, we've got two guys in that lineup that are constantly taking a lot of pitches. And I'm loving what Brandon Belt brings. I love the fact that it's a left-handed bat. And I think he's a pretty solid fielder, too. I think it was you, or it might have been my buddy Alan, who said at the beginning of the year, we're going to be real happy that Brandon Belt is a Toronto Blue Jay. I want to talk a little bit about this piece. We're not going to talk about Brandon Belt much on this, but man, like the Jays are running the bases.
Yes.
And like they've got 34 stolen bases this year, which is 8th in the majors, which the Toronto Blue Jays and top 10 stolen bases in the majors isn't really a thing, I've always thought. But they had 67 stolen bases last year for the whole year. And right now, Witt's already got 12. All right. Varshall's got, and Springer's got 6. But what got me talking about this is that Varsho got caught for the first time in ages this week. And they mentioned how often the Jays were running. And it got me down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, my friend. So are you willing to do some quick Blue Jays trivia? I did this to you once before, and it wasn't fair. So, but I also want to give anybody who's listening, watching later on, the chance to think about this. Put it in the comments if you're watching and have time. All right. Who has the Jays' single season record for stolen bases? Not going to make you tell me how many, but who has the Jays' single season record for stolen bases?
Well, I want to throw Ricky Henderson out, but is it Ricky?
It isn't Ricky Henderson, which how many teams that Ricky Henderson played for would you say he doesn't? Actually, you know what? I'm going to look that up for next week too. How many teams did Ricky Henderson play for? Yeah.
Give me a decade.
The 80s.
Oh, screw you. I don't remember any of those guys.
How about?
Who was it?
Dave Collins in 1984 swiped
That's a
60
made-up
bags
player.
that's
That's
a
a
made-up player.
player.
Hey, Dave scored 300 stolen bases over the course of the year. All right. Tell me
I'm
this
teasing
then.
you. I'm teasing you.
The last J to swipe 50 bags.
Was it Bo?
It
No.
wasn't Bo. Bo has not. I don't think Bo stole 30 in a season yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Oh. Okay. No, it wasn't Tapia.
it's been a
No.
while, I'll tell you that.
Okay. Give me an answer.
It is
O
Shannon
Dog?
Stewart.
Shannon
No, man, it was
Stewart.
Shannon
Say
Stewart
Orlando.
swiped in 98. I always thought it was Robbie Alomar, right? Robbie did swipe 55 in 93, 53 in 91. He did 49. But no. I got one more for you then, my friend.
Give me a trivia question from like the last 5 years. My brain's tired.
How about this one then, man? How about this one? Straight
Yeah.
up, all time. This isn't necessarily the last 5 years, but all time Blue Jay leader in stolen bases. This is the first time I've really realized the gap in ages between us, brother. It really is the first time.
Well, listen, all-time leader, Carlos Delgado. Just joking.
Oh, you know what, man? Carlos Delgado is like Ernest Hemingway in Trivial Pursuit, like entertainment or literary pies. Just say Ernest Hemingway, and you're going to be right one time at a time.
Yeah.
It is not. Believe it or not, it is the Shaker Lloyd Mosby is the all-time Blue Jay, followed by Robbie Alomar, and then two dynamite middle infielders, Damaso Garcia and Tony Fernandez. Anyway, I just never thought of the Jays and stolen bases, so I just want to talk a little about
great. Drew, let me tell you what's great about our friendship is that you rekindle the historical look at the Blue Jays, whereas I it's not that I don't care. I don't keep those guys top of mind. I have to be honest with you. Like there's only so much room up here.
Well, tell you what, brother, switch it up for next week. You come and bring me. You pick one area of Blue Jay history, one statistical area, and we'll see if I can remember some of these old school names because these are my dad's guys, right? So that's
okay.
for me.
Okay.
What else?
So I gotta give you, I hear. So I'm gonna give a shout out to my nephew Thomas Reeves. This is a shout out to Thomas. Drew, just give Thomas a shout out. It's not just from me; it's from
Thomas.
You.
I've heard so much about you, brother. Thanks. You are the reason why I always catch myself before swearing.
Thomas asked me. He's like, "Hey, I need a shout out on the Drew Jays talk." So there it is, Thomas. And Thomas asked me, Uncle Andrew, can you explain to me OPS? And I said to him, when you're older, which was me trying to stall time.
That is the best.
There was
that is the best response to, can you explain analytics to me when you're older, son? When you're older.
There was a change that happened, and I think, Drew, it happened during COVID, but we switched from tracking batting average when you go to the Dome or any field mostly. There was sort of just this switch. It was. I think a lot of fans were asking for it. A lot, probably more serious fans were asking for it, and it was a switch from the batting average being the main stat that adjudicates a player's offensive contribution. Switched to OPS. I don't even remember reading that they were going to do it, other than it just happened. But first of all, can you tell Thomas and me and everyone else what OPS is, Drew?
See, when you mentioned earlier today via text, I want to talk about OPS, I thought that you meant you were going to talk about OPS.
Okay, I'll talk
quick
about
recap for anybody out there. OPS,
okay,
and correct me, is on-base percentage plus slugging. So
correct.
It is a combination of what percentage of time you get on base, as well as what percentage of hits you get are extra base hits. So
correct.
Slugging percentage became much sexier, including doubles, triples, home runs. So you add those two together. Now you tell me this. This is the part that I still am not clear on, and I hope you will. What's a good OPS? Because I think all these new numbers are great, but the big question is, we know that a 300 batting average is elite. I'm not as clear on OPS, so I'll pass it back to you, my friend.
Yeah, well, I would like to do more learning on what a good OPS is, but I'll tell you what I understand to be true is anything north of 1,000 or 0.000 is a strong OPS.
Well, I think that's elite, man. I think
Yeah.
800 is our
Well, so that's what I'm saying. Anything north of 1,000 is pretty notable. And
Hall of Fame worthy, yeah.
I was at the game, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and we had a couple of guys, Matt Chapman, Bo Bichette, that were up over 1,000. I think Matt Chapman was 12 something. That obviously gave him the AL Player of the Month. But OPS is, as you just stated, there's a bit more math. And what's nice about it is you could have an incredibly high slugging percentage and maybe a little bit less of an on-base percentage. Or you could have a real great on-base percentage, a little bit lower slugging percentage. Where that, I think, helps is I think it maybe levels the playing field if you're a slugger versus if you're a real strong contact guy with a lot of getting on base, with singles. Both types of players are sort of rewarded in the same conversation, as opposed to, batting average guys. They would hit, a slugger would hit 50 home runs, but have like a 220 batting average. And people would say, oh, this guy stinks. No, he strikes out a ton and he hits a ton of bombs.
Isn't that
I think
Pete Alonso? Like Pete
Sure,
Alonso, Kyle
sure.
Schwarber, like they're like, oh, they hit 220. The old school in me, my dad would have been like, oh, he's a 220 hitter. Well, yeah, but his OPS is 850 because he gets on base 40% of the time. So he's got a 400 on base percentage because he takes a ton of walks and he doesn't hit singles. So 60% of his hits are extra base hits. All of a sudden, you got a guy with 1,000 OPS, and I don't care if he hits 220. And that took a long time for me to switch, right? Because if you were under 250, you were a terrible hitter.
Sure.
And not if you hit 40 home runs. And that's a whole new type of hitter that, my father would have hated, man. But there's a big place in today's baseball for them.
Well, and being walked, whether you drew the walk or you were intentionally walked, that stat never really came through in batting average. It may have, I suppose, if you zoomed out, affected the percentage a little bit, but it wasn't a noticeable thing, right? But now, if you're like Vladdy walks all the time. Yeah, that's going to contribute to your OPS. So,
well, like Aaron Judge, all the numbers I laid off the top were like regular statistics, but his OPS for the weekend was like 1,600. Right, he was on base 700 times, and every hit he got, or 7 times out of 11 or whatever, and every hit he got was an extra. I think he broke it. So yeah, and the other one I like a lot, just if anyone I love OPS plus or ERA plus. Anytime you see one of these advanced stats with a plus after it, what it means is it's adjusting for different parks, for different eras. And what it does is that I love these because 100 is the average major league player. So when you see Garrett Cole going out there and his ERA plus is 233, that he's more than double the skill level of an average player. So I've always loved that for OPS plus as well, right? Like where you can start to see like where someone ranks up compared to the average hitter.
Right. And listen, like if you're a personality, if you're a numbers person and you just love analyzing and ranking and categorizing and that's great. Like all the power to you. I love it. I like doing it a little bit, but the way my brain is wired is after a little while it starts to become so much work that I'm not able to enjoy the actual game. So I tend to glance at the advanced stats and be like, okay, someone else liked that. That's cool.
We should, what we should do, man, is you should give me an impression because I find the stats help me. It's kind of like doing this together. Is I find it helps me. I think I just completely blacked out. There we go. I find that it helps me appreciate little things in the game more. I also think that it has helped me figure out what to talk about on this show, to go in and be like, oh, there's these underlying trends that show that, oh, we shouldn't be worried as much, or maybe we should be a little bit more. Like we lose sight of the fact Barrios just had 2 great starts, even though, you didn't necessarily see a win. My prediction last week was we see 4 out of 5 quality starts through the rotation, which, other than Manoah, we're kind of seeing. So I like looking underneath, but I love that you and I are a little bit different. I like the past piece and where things fit in the bigger context. And you're sort of, so one of the things I want to look at is when you say, you're really good at this. You say, I've noticed that this is happening. And then you actually look at the numbers and you're right. Because some people aren't. They say, Romano sucks. I'm like, well, actually, have you looked at the numbers? Or the Jays bullpen is terrible. I'm like, okay, but let's look at this. And I want to talk about this down the road. Bassitt, Pearson, and Romano are going to be the back end of the bullpen. And we're going to, not Bassitt, I'm sorry, Swanson. Bassitt, we haven't even talked. How do we not talk about Bassitt? I will in a second, actually. Let's actually do this and wrap it up, brother, because I know we want a game coming.
Rewind. You're talking about the three relief pitchers.
Swanson, Pearson, and Romano.
Yeah.
I see that as potentially something worth celebrating, because if you've got Simber and Richards and Zach Pop and Anthony Bass, these aren't names that make people super excited unless I tell you that their job is to handle the 5th and 6th innings, maybe the 4th sometimes. That's a good bullpen. When those guys, because Trevor Richards is become a great relief pitcher. Yes, he's going to give up a tater every now and then, but look at the numbers, everyone. Trevor Richards' changeup is among the most dangerous pitches. Oh, Tim Mesa. Tim Mesa's been dynamite, but Swanson, nobody can hit his splitter. He's been, yes, he gave up a home run this week. He's been unhittable for a year and a half. Romano, even though no one will ever seem to fully trust him, no Jays fans don't seem to understand what his numbers say he is. Those 3 guys, and let's look at it this way. This is a whole other topic, I guess, but Chad Green and Hyun-Jin Ryu, these are the type of guys you trade for at the trade deadline to try to bolster a championship team. The Jays can get both of those guys back around the trade deadline for no prospects, for nothing. What are you looking for at the trade deadline? Starting help, back end of the rotation, unless you can find one of those dynamite front enders, and for that you give up Moreno and but I just wanted to mention that the back end of the Jays bullpen is not what everyone says. Oh, we have to worry about the bullpen. Take a step back. We had a good bullpen. Hasn't played great sometimes, but look at the numbers and look at the stuff. And now look at the back end if Pearson can keep pitching like he is. That is what everyone talks about with the Yankees, those 3 beasts out of the back end. And Chad Green was one of those beasts, and we get him now.
I'm looking forward to that. I would say, Drew, it has been a good week of baseball. There has been just some, I'll take Chris Bassitt having a head cold over a lot of things. And, we were talking about some stats and things that all of a sudden just appeared in baseball. A quality start. That came out of almost nowhere. It's been around for a couple of years, but I don't remember a quality start being a 10-year stat. I think quality start is 5, 6, 7 years has it been around for?
We may be wrong on this, but I think you're 100% right on it too. Is that I never heard that term. I think it's flawed, but it's worth looking at. I really liked how it led to what we talked about last week, which was a debilitating start, I think was the term. That there's 2 sides of the same coin, but the Jays, I think, led the league for most of the year in quality starts. So, I mean, it's not a perfect stat, but it's a good one.
A quality start is an interesting stat, and it's an interesting way to look at baseball differently. And again, I think that's the fun of the game. You can be an absolute stats fan, and you have a place. You can be, you can be just a fan of action. You just want to see runs. I tend to be a pitching and defense guy. I was talking to a gentleman who went to his first game. I think he lives in Saskatchewan or something like that. He went to his first game on the night of Bassitt, and it was 0-0, and he was upset because it was, I didn't see any runs. And I was thinking, contraire, sir. You saw an electric game. Let me tell you why. And so that's what, Drew, that's what's great about baseball. There's so much, there's a lot for everybody.
Oh, and I think the Jays pitching staff, we could do Barrios 152 batters without a home run. Barrios is way better this year than anybody is giving him credit for. And this one, Bassett, let's talk about him next week when he does this for two more starts, but 27 scoreless innings, and this is the one that got me. 1.97 ERA in his starts before this week. That's not counting the two this week, and he hasn't given up a hit on his sinker all month.
Right.
What nonsense is that? Um, what nonsense is that? I'm sorry, not a single hit on the pitch all month. I wanted to do one final thing for you, my man, before we
Sure.
we go off and kick it to. I was going to say to Buck and the gang, but we're not. It's Apple TV tonight, isn't it?
Apple TV tonight, yeah.
Okay, let me just take a look here. I had my players of the week as assessed by Drew Dudley. Let's see if I can find them, though. I think I might have failed to write them down somewhere. Oh, here we
That's
go.
okay.
I got my player and pitcher of the week. Blue Jays player of the week. Before we do our much anticipated predictions.
Predictions.
Some honorable mentions. Bo Bichette at his 986 OPS and 375 average. We love you, Bo. We have one of the top three players in baseball since September 1st of last year, and we need to start recognizing that. Brendan Belt with his 353. Kevin Kiermaier only played 3 games, but he was hitting 600 over those. 4 for 7 with a home run and 3 doubles. Feel better soon. But you can argue with me if you want, man. But with 2 walk-offs in a week, Danny Jansen is my hitter of the week. Don't at me.
I think I just sent you a text that just said Danny, or I sent you a text that just said Jano, something like that, and you just reflect, smile, and that's all we need. We just needed a little Danny in our lives. What a guy! And I don't care if he doesn't hit, I don't care if he doesn't hit for average, like we said earlier with OPS, but he helped us win those 2 games, and boy, that was some electricity.
Yep. My friend, pitcher of the week. We're talking already. Chris Bassitt, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk against the Yankees. Gives a shout out to his wife, which we didn't even talk about. Let's look at it. His last 2 starts, his baby was sick all night, and then he was sick during the game. And that boy gave us 9 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts versus Atlanta, a 27 straight shutout. It's Chris Bassitt. He is our man for the week, pitcher of the week for the Toronto Blue Jays. Andrew, before we sign off, what's going to happen this upcoming week for the Jays?
Right. Well, the Orioles finished 2022 in a really strong way, and I said at that time, "Hey, we have a new frenemy in the AL East." I love this young core of the Orioles. Adley Rutschman leading the way, and you've got just a real strong core on the in and outfield. Good pitching staff too. So the Orioles are second place right now in the AL East, just a few games behind the Rays. I believe at this current moment we're just a few games behind the O's. I think 3 games behind the O's. What am I expecting this week? I'm expecting a little swagger. I think we're going to see Manoah on Saturday. I believe in Alec. Always have, always will. Alec's going to find his stuff. He's going to go 8 innings. He's going to get 12 strikeouts, and we're gonna walk over the O's. It's been the season of sweeps. We're going to take 3 out of 3 against the O's. That's what I'm saying. Starting tonight on Apple TV.
Oh, nice little shout out there. I think they're going to take 2 out of 3 from the Orioles. I think they're going to split with Tampa Bay. But I do believe that Bassett's going to go 6 more scoreless innings before they finally get to him. So he's going to run it to 33. So we'll make sure we pay attention and we'll look this up. He's going to run a scoreless streak to 33. The Jays are going to take 2 or 3 from the Orioles over the weekend. They're going to split 2 out of 4 with Tampa Bay after that. That is my prediction. Last week, we were part right. I think we did get 4 out of 5 good turns to the rotation. I don't know if all 4 were quality starts. But I also believe in Alec. I think I've had some people saying send him down. I think you got to try to sort this out. Who knows, my friend? Halladay went back down at one point, and It just is a question of whether you can recover from it. But I think he's going to be spectacular. And man, I'm just so looking forward to it. It's the May 2-4, brother. It's the May 2-4. The weather's starting to turn warm. I may get down and catch a game this weekend. My man, it was so much fun texting back and forth with you this week. For everybody who's watching live, who tunes in and watches later, I hope you found it interesting. The beautiful thing about baseball, man, is that there's another game tomorrow. But in this particular episode, there's literally another game right now. So take care, my friends. Andrew, my love to all of the Sorlies and to your wonderful nephew. I hope he gets to see some great baseball this weekend.
Thank you, Drew, and right back at you. And let us know. By the way, I'm gonna sign off, but let us know if you think we should be hanging out with you guys right before a game, or if you like the midweek. We're trying a couple things, and we want to hear from you. So have a great night, Drew.
Man. Oh man, it's always great talking to you. Let's go, Jays. See you soon, my buddy. Peace.
All right.